Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Wednesday, the 17th of May, 2023. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 closed down 0.5% today to 7,199 points. It followed a weak lead-in from Wall Street. Macquarie and Wesfarmers were the worst among the large caps, both dropping more than 1%. WiseTech Global was best, up more than 1%. All in all, not a huge amount happening today, though it was a rough day for the gold miners, with the price of the precious metal falling below $2,000 an ounce. Newcrest Mining, which earlier in the week agreed to be bought by Newmont Resources, fell to its lowest level in 6 weeks. St Barbara, Silver Lake Resources, Northern Star Resources and Perseus Mining all ended lower. In corporate news, online furniture retailer Temple & Webster reiterated full-year earnings guidance of between 3 and 5%. Retailer Best & Less, its share price fell nearly 4% after it cut net profit guidance for the second half of the year. And global malt supplier United Malt swung to a net loss over the past 6 months, although its share price finished up 2%. What does United Malt do? Well, it provides malt for beer. And one of the interesting comments out of the result today was that pale ales are losing their luster and Pilsner and lagers are back. Craft beers are just becoming a little passé, at least in North America. Story number 2, next week's Quad meeting in Sydney has been cancelled after US President Joe Biden pulled the pin. Instead, the leaders of the US, Japan, India and Australia will meet on the sidelines of the Group of 7 summit in Japan this weekend. President Biden cancelled his trip as a result of ongoing domestic negotiations over expanding the US debt ceiling. If the ceiling isn't lifted, the US will default, so it's pretty serious business. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese today said it made sense for the leaders to meet in Hiroshima this weekend. While not members of the G7, both India and Australia have been invited this weekend. The Prime Minister said it remained possible that Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has scheduled a separate bilateral meeting to coincide with the Quad, may still visit Australia. Story number 3, support for the Indigenous voice has tumbled from 58% to 53% over the past month in the crucial yes or no question that will decide a referendum on the issue later in the year. The sharp fall in support revealed in a poll from Resolve Strategic that appeared in the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age includes pivotal shifts against the voice in big states such as Queensland and volatile swings in some of the smaller states. A slide in support for the voice has continued for more than 6 months and puts the no campaign on track for a majority by August if there's no change to that trend. Story number 4, the financial regulator has launched an investigation into Newey boss Jonathan Rubinstein, examining whether he knew about a potential takeover bid when he bought Newey shares through his super fund last year. Mr. Rubinstein, who has been in the CEO role for over a year, bought 800,000 shares worth about $236,000 in the technology company in 3 parcels in early September last year. The same week, Newey chairman Jeff Bleach received an inquiry from US-based legal software company Reveal about whether Newey would be interested in potentially selling some of its assets. Mr. Bleach ultimately said no. Now, in a statement yesterday, Newey said Mr. Rubinstein's share purchase was approved by Mr. Bleach in September and took place during an approved trading window. Newey investors are particularly sensitive to this sort of thing, given it's still battling several legal battles following its disastrous IPO in early 2020. Its share price, mind you, is up nearly 60% this year. And story number 5, tumbling fertiliser prices has pushed Incitec's Pivot's share price down to its lowest level in almost 2 years after the group announced a fall in first half earnings. Profit in Incitec's fertiliser business fell 58%, while its Dyno Noble Explosives division's profit rose 42%. Demand for fertiliser tumbled following flooding in many growing regions. Managing Director Jean Johns said the disappointing result shouldn't deter investors from the goal of splitting the company into 2, and she said the second half will be stronger than the first half. The viability of the fertiliser business on its own has been one of the arguments against the split of Incitec Pivot. Today's results certainly adds fuel to that fire. That's it for the afternoon report for Wednesday, the 17th of May, 2023. Michael Thompson and I will be back tomorrow morning with the Thursday edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.